This story was absolutely astonishing to me. I didn't know this. I don't think the overwhelming majority of Americans know this, but this is in Texas Public Radio. They say the following. Texas claims spike in prison deaths isn't heat-related. Study says that can't be true. So let's just get this out of the way up front. That claim from the state of Texas is the most brazen lie I've ever seen. This is right up there with Saddam Hussein is responsible for 9/11. It is obviously untrue. So let me give you some specifics here and you'll see what I mean. Texas prisons have seen, on average, nearly 2 people die each day this summer. A persistent, record-setting, and deadly heat wave has scorched the state during the same time period. But Texas officials say they have yet to confirm a heat-related prison death so far this year. It has been more than a decade since the last one. That's despite the state not having air conditioning in 2/3 of its prisons. So the state of Texas doesn't have AC in 2/3 of their prisons. And 2 people are dying every day. And they're saying, no, that's not because of the heat. But it's like 110 degrees. But studies have challenged the death findings. Julie Scarha doesn't buy that Texas hasn't seen a heat-related death in 12 years. Quote, I think the idea that there have been no heat-related deaths since 2012 is just false, she said. Scarha wrote her doctoral dissertation on mortality rates in Texas prisons dealing with excessive heat. Her findings were published in the Journal of the American Medical Association Open Network in November. It's attributed 271 deaths between 2001 and 2019, likely to non-air-conditioned Texas prisons and heat. That's 30 times higher than the national average. What are you even talking about the national average? Like, the fact that we have any heat deaths anywhere in America is a giant scandal. This is totally savage, barbaric, uncivilized stuff. I don't care what somebody did. Now, by the way, I'm not your average lefty when it comes to crime stuff. I've often said, I'm tough on crimes that should actually be crimes. So I'm okay with murder, rape, assault, massive, colossal fraud, which kicks millions of people out of their own homes like Wall Street did. War crimes. I'm in favor of throwing the book at these people. I'm tough on many crimes. But having said all that, this is not in the realm of debate or discussion. That we're just not going to have AC in a lot of our jails and prisons, and people are just going to die, and it is what it is. That is flat out state-sanctioned torture and murder, in my opinion. And it's worse than just murder because you're torturing them the entire time until they die. The Texas Department of Criminal Justice disputed the study's findings, I'm sure they did, and said it didn't consider the listed cause of death which county medical examiners provide rather than their department. Scarha said there are often numerous causes to a death, and just because it wasn't what was listed doesn't mean heat didn't play a large role. Quote, heat exhaustion can be pretty mild, and heat strokes are pretty rare, and there's a lot of things that can happen in between that are related to heat and also cause death, she said. The researchers did not get their information regarding deaths, air conditioning, etc. from TDCJ, said Amanda Hernandez, Director of Communications for TDCJ. Scarha said her information came from the Justice Department. Ultimately, Scarha's work was peer-reviewed, and TPR confirmed that he used standard methods on the data. So they go on here. Heat in Texas prisons. Data from the state showed that temperatures in Texas prisons are regularly over what is considered safe in county jails, 85 degrees, and increasingly sweltering at over 90 and 95 degrees for many hours a day. The idea that it can even be 84 degrees, and hey, that's okay. It's not threatening anybody's life. 84 degrees inside. No breeze. Probably a lot of humidity there as well. No. Homie, I like it 65 degrees inside at night and like 67 or 68. The high is 69 during the day. We're talking 85 degrees and they're like, well, that's legal and fine. What? But in reality, it gets to 90 or 95 degrees. They say, quote, even for young, healthy adults, 95 degrees when humid can be dangerous. Extremely humid 95-degree days have often been called the limit of the young, healthy bodies. The limit of the young, healthy bodies when it tries to regulate internal temperatures. Even a perfectly healthy person at 95 degrees when it's humid will probably not survive because your body just can't self-regulate anymore. It's called like the wet bulb temperature or something like that. But many in Texas prisons, like Joseph Garza, aren't in great health and aren't young. Quote, I'm 47, I have a hard time breathing, I wake up numb, sometimes I put in for medical about this, I'm just trying to keep out of people's way, just lay there and sweat, Garza said. He's an inmate at TDCJ's Dominguez State Jail outside San Antonio. The facility does not have air conditioning in its housing areas. I don't know how this is legal. I don't know how this is allowed. We do this thing in this country where if somebody's a criminal, if they've been found guilty of something, there's like zero, not just sympathy or empathy, but like no rational, logical thought about how we deal with this segment of the population. And so it's like, throw them in jail, throw them in prison, out of sight, out of mind, end of discussion. And it's like, no, there's some very basic, bare minimum human decency, human rights standards that need to be met. And this is why some countries don't have a extradition treaty with the U.S. because they view our prisons and jails as like, that's like torture. We won't subject anybody to that inhumane situation. I don't know how I can say this more clearly. Put frickin' air conditioning in these jails. Put them in the jails, put them in the prisons. This is unconscionable. This is like modern day torture. That's what this is. And this is to say nothing about, we've covered the private prison stories where it's like there's these for-profit prisons where they are still taking money from the government, making a profit, and they have an incentive to put as many butts in beds as possible because they make more money that way. So they lobby the government for 3 strikes laws to lock people up for a longer time. There's been devastatingly terrible stories coming out of those places about them feeding moldy bread or food that wasn't cooked right and people getting sick and, doesn't meet basic cleanliness standards. And we can't do this, man. We can't live like this. This is astonishing. This is barbaric. This is savage. This is not a very good reflection on who we are. And they got to change this. Like I said, I'm actually a tough on crime dude when it comes to many crimes. And even I look at this and I go, Jesus Christ, you're basically torturing somebody until they die from the heat. It's just casually happening. And in so many prisons, this is the case. It should be a law that you need to have AC in these situations. It absolutely should be a law. You imagine it's 110 degrees outside, you're inside, you got nowhere to go, you don't even have any wind to take the edge off, and you're sitting in like a 100-degree cell. Basically, any of us would eventually die in that scenario. All right, guys, that's the show. I love y'all very much, as always. Thank you for listening to me babble on a daily basis. I truly, truly appreciate it. Do me a big favor, man. Click that subscribe button. For the love of God, click that subscribe button. Click that bell icon so you get a notification every single time a new video drops. Much love to everybody who supports this channel on Patreon. The link's in the video description box below. Please consider helping out. I've never had a conversation with an advertiser. I'm very proud of that fact. You guys fund this show from the bottom up. You could also support Crystal Kyle and Friends on Substack. If you pay $5 a month, you get the video of every debate and interview, and you get it a day early. Everybody else gets it a day later for free. The audio version of the podcast, you can still sign up for free on Substack to get that as well. And that's all I got for you, man. I love you all. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Peace. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.